unpacking that on your time, is that we have shifted to more people on site, and that's across the country.
This is an important issue. We're just going to have to move on, and look forward to talking to my colleague and the Commissioner. Senator Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
good to
Senator.
see you, Commissioner. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your willingness to serve. Social Security is a solemn promise, as we know. People who have paid into it all their lives deserve to know that the government will protect that promise. I know that it's been threatened by efforts to privatize and to raise the retirement age and all the things that conservatives have done that doesn't serve the American public. I've heard a lot of concern in Ohio about Social Security overpayments. Senator Wyden, Chairman Wyden, Senator Casey, and I sent a letter last fall to the acting commissioner asking why so many people received overpayment notices in error and what SSA will do to fix it. Ohioans shouldn't pay the price, obviously, for government's mistakes. I'm pleased to hear the steps you're taking on your first 90 days to reduce overpayments. I mentioned that to you in some of our private discussions. Thank you for that, and we will continue to push on that and work on that. There are steps you as commissioner can take to reduce overpayments. There are steps that only Congress can take. I know you talked about bunch singles or something some Oriole fan might talk about. I know there's interest in both parties in this committee to working together to address the root causes of overpayments so that benefits are administered accurately and efficiently. When you were here in November, you called the SSI asset limit a leading cause of overpayments. You added that it presented a significant administrative burden for SSA. Tell us why you think the current asset limit is a burden, both for you administering it and for beneficiaries.
The asset limit has not been raised for years and years. The asset limit is $2,000. SSI is about 40%, or rather 4% of our benefit outlays, but it accounts for 40% of our administrative work. And that's because, as a means-tested program, we have to evaluate every month and make sure that no one in any given month goes over their allowable amount that they can have in as assets in a savings account or in earnings. So, in essence, in the short term, if it were raised from $2,000 to $20,000, it's your bill, and compliments and kudos to you and your Republican colleagues, Senator Cassidy, and both in the Senate and the House, bicameral, bipartisan, to raise it. You should be very proud of that. Hopefully it's the shape of more common sense things to come. Eventually, probably, as we make it less burdensome for people to apply to the program, more people will apply closer and closer to that 20,000 limit edge. But the short term will be that it should reduce the incidence and numbers of overpayments.
Okay, thank you. And it's just so important when you meet, one of the things the chairman's really good at is putting human faces on this. I mean, it's easy to go back home and talk about statistics and this isn't right and that number should be here and that cost of living adjustment should be built into it. But we did a little event outside the Capitol back. It was a hot day, I remember, so it was maybe July or August, in just September, and with a young woman from my state who wants to work, and she's worked as a greeter in a restaurant in Athens, Ohio, and she keeps bumping up against this asset limit. It makes no sense. And she is single. Raising it to 10,000 would make a huge difference. And that's why Senators Cassidy and Langford and Casey and Hassan have all agreed to sign on to this. It's just something we've got to commit ourselves to do. Remainder of my time, what progress are you making to simplify the SSI application process?
That's kind of the white whale of our administrative pursuits. People have been saying, I wish I had a dime for every time a person said to me, why don't you just have TurboTax for SSI? It's a complex problem. There's been a lot of work done on simplifying it. We were talking earlier about the declining numbers of kids that apply for SSI. I mean, the end game. The Social Security Administration has been very slow to embrace digital technologies, communicating with people via phone and text. As a result, a lot of our so-called modernization efforts or simplification efforts are really about taking paper forms and turning them into online forms, which is not really simplification. It might be electrification, but it ain't simplification. So we need to be building towards the end state of not just simply putting forms with fewer questions on them online, but we really need to simplify the program. We need to simplify communications to stay in compliance with the program. And I think our best bet for that is going to be digital and texting technologies. We're working on it. We're not there yet. A lot of the advocates did not like the first iteration we had because they thought it was exclusive. They believe we should make it simpler for everybody, not just for people that are wealthy and can afford to, navigate something.
Well, we're going to keep watching. Chair, the president of Richmond Fed one time said, keep watching what I'm doing and keep letting me know that you're watching me, and we will let you know regularly, white whale notwithstanding, that we're watching. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator, and for your leadership on this and so many things.
Thank you, Senator Brown, and you really have put a human face on this question of the asset limitations, and look forward to working with you to make sure this actually gets done.